should take them over and run them as a public service. Instead of subsidising and bailing out the banks who caused this mess in the first place, we should take them over and run them as a public service. That way we would end corporate leeching of the majority. Organised to fight back. That's how we defeated slavery. That's how we won the right to be in unions. That's how we won the vote. That's how women won the vote, by getting organised and fighting back. And that is the chance before us today. Organised as never before, and to challenge the cuts, to challenge the wage cuts, to challenge the robbery of our pensions, and to say we will build a movement as you have never seen before, that will take power out of their hands and put it with the majority where it really belongs. Thank you very much. Solidarity.
My right, ladies and gentlemen, my right. At 91, I have sailed through the rough and troubled seas of history. I have experienced famine, World War, and the great peace that brought economic stability and mobility to our country. British workers in 1926, when my dad, a Barnsley miner, lifted me on his shoulders and took me to the picket lines of the general strike, whose fight was like ours today for living wages. My dad, at that time, his fellow miners lost their battle for fair wages, and my family, like the rest of working class Britain in the 1920s and 1930s, was thrown into terrible poverty. Even though my dad worked in the mines, I had coal to keep our house from freezing in winter. No one should ever live or endure the hardships my generation bore during the Great Depression. In fact, my generation was so charged with preventing our children and our grandchildren from knowing the scourge of hunger, want and illness caused by poor wages that we built the welfare state after the Second World War. So we enacted laws to prevent businesses from taking advantage of workers or suppressing their wages. We enshrined the rights of unions to protect their workers from corporations who wanted to reap profits from our labour but didn't want to pay us a fair wage. This coalition government has robbed the vulnerable.
Ladies and gentlemen, the thing to say is what a fantastic week we've had. Our superb health workers on strike on Monday, showing the people of this country that they deserve to be treated so much better than they are. But let me say this, there's been reference made to the general election. We have to be clear that George Osborne's pay rise is unacceptable, but if Ed Balls wants a pay freeze, that is absolutely as unacceptable, and we should tell our Labour politicians we will not accept it. And you know what? We should be arguing for a £10 minimum wage, decent pay rises for everybody. And in this, yes, Britain needs a pay rise, but we also need a benefits rise. And it's about time those, the unemployed, the disabled, the pensioners, were treated with some dignity and given decent rises in benefits. We're going to go back to our towns and cities and make the government sit up and take notice. Because the reality is, unless we take more action, more militant action, then they will not give us what we deserve. So my union's message is this: it's great that we've been on strike this week. It's great the health service workers were on strike. But if we all went on strike together, the government would have to come and negotiate with all of the trade unions. And you know what? We shouldn't just strike together. We should start supporting direct action. Like the E15 single mothers occupying houses in East London, demanding houses for all. For those people who are occupying Parliament Square, including our disabled activists, if you can get down there from 5 o'clock today to say we stand with the disabled and the disenfranchised. And also to the Bakers Union, who have had a marvellous protest outside McDonald's today, arguing for decent wages for McDonald's workers. And we should join up all of these struggles, the occupations, the marches, the demonstrations, and taking strike action together. Because if we don't do that, we'll never be defeated. So let's be united, let's march together, strike together, and work with those taking direct action. Greetings, comrades from PCS.
Mark Sawatka.